All right, hello everyone. Today we are going to be going through the fire safety training. My name is Trent Howard. I'm the Human Resources Manager. So welcome to the new employee training. So what exactly is a fire? It's an exothermic chemical reaction. It requires fuel, an oxidizer, energy, and reaction. So kind of think about it as a triangle, right? So there's three categories that go into fire, so making sure that it stays alive, right? So oxygen, heat, and fuel. So for fire prevention, the biggest thing that you want to make sure is don't add up all the required elements. So make sure that you have proper storage and containment, avoid excess heat, electrical overloading, and then also eliminating ignition sources. So one of the things that we do for the safety committee is we do quarterly inspections. So one of the things that we really look at, especially for the staff offices, is electrical overloading. So imagine a power strip and then every single slot is being used, and that is definitely going to potentially cause a fire. Now, obviously, there are some safety measures with newer power strips to kind of avoid those electrical fires. However, we don't want to rely on that safety net. That's like a backup to a backup. We want to make sure that we're not overloading it. So one of your jobs as a staff member is to check to see if you have a computer or there's other power strips that's plugged in you're using equipment that is on that power strip. Make sure that it's not overloaded. So when there is a fire, always get help first. So notify others just in case, and then also use a portable extinguisher only if you are sure that you can do so safely. So portable fire extinguishers are to be used for incipient fires only. So what I mean by incipient fires is fires that can be put out easily. It's like they're contained, right? So if it's, we're not talking about forest fires, right? We're talking about, let's say, a small trash bin gets set on fire. That would be considered an incipient fire because it's only in one area and it has not spreaded and it's not very large. So rules to fighting fires: make sure that you call for help first. So activate the fire alarm, call 911, or ensure someone else does. And also, if you feel confident the fire can be safely extinguished, use an appropriate extinguisher. Evacuate if the smoke is dense. Also evacuate if the fire is large, it's too hot to approach, likely to spread, and is already spreading, and if you have any doubt about your safety. There's also some fuel classifications. So fires are classified according to the type of fuel that is burning. We'll get to this here a little bit in one of the slides. Also, if you use the wrong type of fire extinguisher on the wrong class of fire, you might make matters worse. It's very important to understand the 4 different fire classifications. Rest be sure every department that we have here, there are ABC fire extinguishers, which covers a variety of things. So wood, paper, oils, spills, like liquid spills, and then also electrical fires. So most fire extinguishers will have a pictograph label telling you which types of fire the extinguisher is designed to fight. So for example, a simple water extinguisher might have a label like this. And as you can see, there's a blue icon that shows a trash can that's lit on fire, as well as a campfire. So water extinguishers will take that out, but then on the other graphs, you'll see a black square with a line across from it. That indicates it will not take out liquid fires and then also electrical fires. So here are the fire classes, as I mentioned before. So A refers to trash, wood, and paper. B regards to liquids and grease. And then C, electrical equipment. But then there's also D, which you really don't need to worry about at our location, but it also talks about combustible metals. So here's the fire extinguisher anatomy. So at the very top, to the top right is the pressure gauge. You don't really need to know much about that. Our maintenance technicians, they service it once a month to make sure that arrow is pointing on the green, which is the safe zone. If it's not on there, then we need to reservice it. And then below the pressure gauge, we'll show a data plate that just shows the information like what type of fire extinguisher it is, also how to use a fire extinguisher. There's also a discharge lever to the top left where it's pointing at. So underneath the main metal, there's a little handle underneath that, so that's what you'll use to squeeze. There's a discharge locking pin that prevents people from squeezing it. We'll talk about how to use the fire extinguisher here in a little bit as well. Then there's a discharge hose and then a discharge nozzle. So again, there are different types of fire extinguishers. The three most common types are water, carbon dioxide, and dry chemical. So the dry chemical is the one that we have. As you notice, you'll see the thing that says ABC. Those are, every single department will have an ABC fire extinguisher. So types of fire extinguisher, water is self-explanatory. They're designed for Class A fires only. So using water on a flammable liquid fire could cause a fire to spread. Using water on electrical fire increases the risk of electrocution. So if you have no choice but to use an APW, which does not apply to us, on electrical fire, make sure the electrical equipment is unplugged or de-energized. Okay. Dry chemical fire extinguishers, which is what we have, put out the fire by coating the fuel with a thin layer of dust. This separates the fuel from the oxygen in the air. The powder also works to interrupt the chemical reaction of fire, and these extinguishers are very effective at putting out fires. Okay, it's just showing you another diagram of dry chemical ABC fire extinguishers. So here, as you notice, that the pictograms, if you will, have all three blue squares. So it does cover the trash, or like the wood or paper fires. It does cover the grease or oils, and then also covers the electrical fires. And then also we do have a Class K fire extinguisher, but that is used for kitchens. So think about greases, oils, like those tough. The cooking fats, right? Like those are very highly flammable, and it can produce even warmer fires. And so we need a specialization fire extinguisher for that. It's a lot bigger, so you don't need to really know about that, because all of our kitchen staff are fully aware on how to use that, and it's located inside the kitchen as well. So how to use a fire extinguisher. So it's easy to remember how to use a fire extinguisher if you remember the acronym PASS. So PASS stands for pull, aim, squeeze, and sweep. And we'll break down each one. So what pull indicates is pulling the pin. So remember, going back to that anatomy of the fire extinguisher, there's a pin that prevents anybody to be able to use the fire extinguisher. So the first thing you have to do is pull the pin. Next, you're going to remove that nozzle and then aim at the base of the fire. You want to make sure that you hit the base of the fire, because that is where the fuel is at. You don't really want to aim on top of it, because it may not put out the fire. And then also, the fire extinguisher may look big, but trust me, it shoots out very, very quickly. So it's really important that you aim at the base of the fire to hit the fuel source, because even if you do a little bit on top, it could run out. You never know. So it runs out really quickly. So once you pull the pin and then you aim, then you squeeze the top handle. So it shows you with the arrow indicating. So you squeeze down. This suppresses the button that releases the pressurized extinguishing agent. And then so make sure that you're also aiming at a safe distance before squeezing. And then once you squeeze, then you sweep from side to side until the fire is completely out. So start using the extinguisher from a safe distance away, then slowly move forward. Once the fire is out, keep an eye on the area in case it reignites. So rules to fighting fires. So fires can be very dangerous, and you should always be certain that you will not endanger yourself or others before attempting to put out a fire. So assist any person in immediate danger to safety if it can be accomplished without risk to yourself. Also call 911 or activate the building fire alarm. The fire alarm will notify the fire department and other building occupants and shut off the air handling system to prevent the spread of smoke. Also, know what is burning. If you don't know what is burning, you won't know what kind of extinguisher to use. Fortunately, we do have the ABC, but even if you have an ABC fire extinguisher, there may be something in the fire that is going to explode or produce toxic fumes. Now, I know it might be easier said than done because usually if a fire started, depends on your fight or flight or freeze reaction. But if the best of your ability, try to really think about what is on fire. But rest be assured that the ABC fire extinguishers, there's a very strong chance that it will be successful. And then also, is the fire spreading rapidly beyond the point where it has started? Portable fire extinguishers are for fighting incipient, small fires only. So if the fire is already spreading, quickly evacuate the building. And then also, if you evacuate the building, close the doors and windows behind you as you leave, so that way you cut off that oxygen. That also helps fuel the fire. Kind of think about like when if you lit a candle, right? If you light a candle, and then use that lid to put over top of the candle, like that's already lit, it smothers the fire because it doesn't have any other fuel. You cut off that oxygen supply. So do not fight the fire if you don't have adequate or appropriate equipment. If you don't have the correct type or large enough extinguisher, it is best not to try fighting the fire. You also might inhale toxic smoke. So when synthetic materials burn, they can also produce hydrogen cyanide, arsenine, and ammonia in addition to carbon monoxide. These gases can be fatal in very small amounts. And then also lastly, do not fight the fire if your instincts tell you not to. So if you're uncomfortable with the situation for any reason, just let the fire department do their job. And then always leave an escape route. Always position yourself with an exit or means of escape at your back before you attempt to use an extinguisher to put out a fire. If the extinguisher malfunctions, is inadequate, or something unexpected happens, you need to be able to get out quickly. Don't get trapped. And that concludes the fire extinguisher training video. If you have any questions for me, you can reach me at email thoward@stmaryshomeforboys.org, or you can also call me at 503-259-3103. Look forward to answering any questions that you guys might have. Thank you for attending.